Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Sean, Ranty CGI, Mark Doxy, Jose, Jimmy, Ian, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You need to speak.
You guys probably couldn't.
CGI. Say hello, CGI.
He's texting.
Says, yeah, I got a shout out. Hello, Ranty. Good to have you. Good to have you all. Ranty CGI included. Or CGI Ranty, I should say.
All right, so I'd like to pick up from where I left off and just ask James to either repeat in his own words my attempt at trying to get him to understand what we're talking about, although I think he does. I mean, do you understand that there's nothing out there to press against?
So, the atmosphere?
The atmosphere
has nothing to press
Hold
against.
Hold on, Arwen.
Sorry.
The atmosphere, Jimmy, is the book, okay? You were talking about a book on your hand, okay?
Yeah.
My hand is the surface, is the substance. The book is the atmosphere. Now you've got to reverse it now. The atmosphere is now going up, 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 up. There's no hand. There's nothing it's pressing against.
Can I read that line out I read to you guys?
I'm sorry?
Quote Wiki again.
Not wiki. For the viewers, a gravitational attraction exists between the mass of a planet and gas molecules and particles in its atmosphere. The force of gravity tends to pull the molecules and particles towards the center of the body. The weight of the atmosphere pushing down on itself and on the surface of the planet creates atmospheric pressure.
It's total
Jimmy.
pseudoscience.
Jimmy, do you understand that you read that from someplace, and I've had discussions where I don't have to read that. I can explain the idea, your idea, and you still do not have a barrier. You cannot have pressure against non-pressure without a barrier.
That's to do with the gravitational pull from the Earth getting weaker as it higher up.
No, that's actually contradictive.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. I explained it to you at the start. I explained it to you last hangout.
Yeah, that's why I asked you to look up entropy.
I did. I gave you the definition for it.
Yeah, you don't recognise the significance that a high pressure system would flow into a low pressure system based on entropy.
Isn't that the gradient?
No, not based on the gradient, right? If your gravity is weaker at the top, it's more likely to have the low pressure system affected. Not less likely, more likely. So you saying, well, the vacuum, the gravity gets weaker closer to the top. I wrote, so less likely to contain that pressure then, that it's not pressing on anything. There's no per square inch of anything. It's just pressing on a vacuum, a lower pressure system, right? This makes sense to you, does it?
We'll look at something here. This is actually from Wikipedia.
You didn't answer my question. Does it make sense to you that there's no per square inch up there. There's weaker gravity and there's nothing to press on. What there actually is a much lower pressure system, a vacuum in fact. Does that make sense to you?
My understanding, yeah.
It's not your understanding. We
Eleanor
established that in the
gets it,
last
I
show.
think.
You've not been there. It's not
Isn't
your
the
understanding.
vacuum-
It's not your
vacuum
understanding.
an
You've not been there. You've
pressure?
not been to space. You've not verified or validated any of this. A priest told you. It's not your understanding. It's what someone told you. Let's just get that clear. I'm asking you a different question though. Does that make sense to you? Admittedly, it means you've got to actually use your own brain and exercise your own opinion about this. It might take some time. But do you think it makes sense that where gravity is at its weakest and you have a vacuum, a much, much lower pressure system, that would be acceptable to have pressure pressing against a lower pressure system?
So as gravity gets weaker as you go high up, you have the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. Why is that?
Sorry, don't ask me a question about your bloody religion. I'm asking you specifically about when what you have said is just applied. So we have weaker gravity at the top, then we have a vacuum with nothing for the air pressure to press against other than a lower pressure system. So that makes sense to you, does it?
Yeah,
Why?
because you don't agree with it, so therefore it must.
Sorry, not a good enough answer is that I don't agree with it. I've shown the flaws in the argument. So it's not about agreeing with me. It's about you now saying it makes perfect sense that we have pressure, not pressing against anything, but simultaneously existing next to a lower pressure system, also known as a vacuum. That makes perfect sense to me because what? Take your time, Jimmy. It's another one of those moments where I hope the other panel don't relieve the pressure.
What was the question again?
Why does it make sense to you to have pressure requiring it pressing on something, and rather than there being something to press on, you have a lower pressure system next to that pressure? Why would that make sense to you, Jimmy?
Because of the gravitational pull of the Earth.
Sorry, we're not talking about at the bottom. You seem to go round in circles. At the top, Jimmy. Not on the ground.
Gravitational pull gets
the
weaker,
top.
so therefore. There's your answer.
Sorry, I didn't hear you mumbled.
Please don't pick up my speech impediment.
Yeah, that's saying you mumbled. Like, kind of like this. That's not speech
Jimmy.
impediment. That's just you mumbling.
It's part of the
Jimmy.
speech impediment.
Sorry,
The
I'll ask the
gravity-
question again. Explain to me why it makes sense to you that we have pressure, something that requires pressing on something, and at the top, where gravity is weakest, in your pseudoscience religion world of presupposing R, at the top, we have a vacuum, a lower pressure. Now, by the laws of entropy, we would expect that it would dissipate into that vacuum because there's no barrier. I want you to explain, not at the bottom, but at the top, why that makes sense to you.
Gravity.
Sorry, gravity. That's just a pseudoscience, non-proven theory. What are you talking about? That doesn't account for the top. Gravity happens at the bottom. You said it was weakest at the top.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so notwithstanding gravity, I did say in your pseudoscience world of gravity, it's weakest at the top.
Yes.
At the point where it's pressing on nothing, it's actually pressing not on a wall, but on a lower pressure system. Now, I would expect it to
Gravity is
dissipate.
weaker.
I would expect it to dissipate into that lower pressure system of a vacuum. I want you to explain why it doesn't, where gravity is at its weakest, notwithstanding gravity.
I've given you enough explanations for this.
You've just said the word gravity, and I've said that gravity has been included in my question. And at the top, as you've laboured the point and explained to us, it's at its weakest. You somehow think that strengthens your argument, even though that's absolutely laughable. But I want you to explain, even though you can have a much weaker force of gravity, do you think a vacuum is weaker than the very reduced force of gravity, where you have this pressure not pressing on something but next to a vacuum? I want you to detail it to me. Don't just say gravity. We've already had that and included it. We need more. What's stopping it going out into space where there's a vacuum? Why does this make sense to you?
Does the vacuum have a container?
I don't think there is a vacuum. That's what we're debunking.
Does the vacuum have a
I'm
container?
going insane
Yeah,
here.
this is the point. We're saying we don't think there's a vacuum. That's the very medium of your religious belief. The satellites, the sun that rotates around, the great attractor, all that crap is based on this medium, and we are literally shafting it for an audience of a couple of hundred people, while you ask us questions and go silent a lot without telling us why you believe this nonsense. Why do you believe this nonsense?
Sorry, Nathan. It's I'm struggling to hear you because it's hard.
Yeah, very difficult to hear when you're having your ass handed to you. I get it. It's so difficult.
Just stop now. So
Let me say something just real quick in answer to your question, Jimmy, because that is the exact metaphysical bullshit that your system purports. Your question of whether or not space has a container is the exact playground that your scientists love to play in. They will imagine what kind of container it is, and they will postulate as to what kind of container can contain such a system, and they have no proof, no experience, no observation. That is what we're talking about. You have an idea that you can explain, but you have no empirical way of presenting such. And whenever we do have experience with vacuums, as Arwen has already talked about with a container, when you remove everything, we can do that here on Earth. What we can't do is have a pressurized system next to a non-pressurized system without a barrier.
you're making it
Except
out like it's like literally a cut-off point where you have one pressurized system and there's literally a line and there's no pressurized system.
Yeah, it's called a container. It's called a container.
That's where you get caught up.
Look, dude, gravity,
explain about
gravitational
completely
pull, it's not a container.
you're like, you know what
It's
you're
a
like?
field
You're
that apply. No, hold on. It's like a field that like goes through everything. And so unless at some point this gravitational pull force like literally becomes so extreme that it just makes like a shield, like a literal Star Trek shield to contain things. It's just a field. Everything is just going to move out of that field and then freely expand into the vacuum of space. That's the whole point. Gravity is a field that moves through the matter. It's not a shield that can actually contain it.
But that's how you. That's
No,
not.
that is the freaking official way to explain gravity.
But that's your point. You think it's some sort of barrier.
No, you think it is.
No.
No, it can't be a container. Gravity can't be a container. That's the whole point.
I've talked about the Earth's different atmospheres as you go up.
No, it doesn't matter. Gravity is like a field that is through all the matter. It does not form a container. It cannot contain pressure. It's a force.
As you move further away from the Earth, the gravitational pull is less.
Yeah, so
Different
it's
levels.
not going to keep it there. It's not going to be able to pull it to the Earth.
So is your conclusion from this, Jimmy, that less vacuum means more likely to withstand the force of a vacuum?
Vacuum. No.
You're muttering again, Jimmy.
I said no.
Oh, no.
Don't you get it? Don't you get it? That the gravity can't be a container. It doesn't work that way. Gas, no matter what forces are applied, even if there were no forces applied, it will redistribute with it as far as it can until it finds a pressure equilibrium. It always does. So no matter what forces you apply, it will require a container or expand indefinitely in outer space. And gravity is not going to keep it all to this ball. Because it can't function as a container. Doesn't have that ability.
So gravity doesn't pull things to the Earth then?
Yeah, it does, but it gets weaker towards the top. And there's apparently, according to your religion, this
Thank you,
vacuum
Nathan.
that's up there. Why is it you talk over me every time I start to explain your religion that you don't understand?
I
Or
don't want
ask
to
you
say
anything.
anything. Talk over you again.
Yeah, you do all the time. Leave these long protracted silences while we hand you your ass. It's funny.
Yeah, hand me ass. I've explained it. Like I said from
You
the
haven't
start.
explained anything. Sorry,
Here's the
explain it to me
explanation.
again. I'll ask the question again, Jimmy. How is it that we have pressure that requires pressing on something next to a vacuum?
Have different layers of the atmosphere.
That's absolutely fascinating. So what you're going to do is you're going to affirm the consequent. If we have pressure gradients, we have gravity and a vacuum next to a non-vacuum. Is that what you're saying?
Explanation given, yeah.
Sorry, you're muttering again?
I said that's the explanation given.
Oh, right. So if Wiki says it, then regardless of if it makes any sense, you'll just accept it. It doesn't make sense. Oh, hello.
The
doesn't make any
scientists
sense,
dictate,
Jimmy.
and it doesn't make any sense.
But to you, that's the problem.
No, it doesn't make any sense to anyone.
You've got an agenda-based belief, so that
No.
No, you have a belief in space and vacuum of space, and we're saying, how do we breathe in this air that we've got and still have a vacuum next to it where gravity's at its weakest? It doesn't make any sense. Surely it'd all go off into space. And you say, no, 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 gravity. And we say, no, 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 gravity's weak up there, and then you talk all over me while I explain it to you. Why are you bullying me? Stop bullying me, Jimmy.
sorry.
Yeah, can you stop it? You Globers, you need reporting for your bullying. You've got people phoning up people's workplaces, making all sorts of accusations, and then talking over us. It's disgraceful, really. I mean, you guys are supposed to have science on your side. You should have an answer for how pressure is achieved next to a vacuum. You should have an answer. You've got Wiki telling us about pressure gradients. So what? What's it pressing on? Take your time, Jimmy.
You guys,
Don't tell me about you guys. Tell me what it's pressing on.
you chaps believe in something.
You believe in a vacuum of space. Tell me what it's pressing on. The gas that I'm breathing in right now. What's that up there? Up the top? What's it pressing on, Jimmy? Don't tell me what I believe and about my fantasies. Tell me what the pressure that necessitates your entire medium that you think your world revolves around being there. Tell me. What's it pressing on?
What's pressing on what, sorry?
Oh, so you suddenly have a bout of amnesia, do you? We're not talking about gas pressure here. Maybe we're talking about book pressure. Idiot.
You're not having a seizure, are you, Nathan?
You're an idiot. What are we talking about? We're talking about gas pressure next to a vacuum. How many times have we got to say it? What's it pressing on? The vacuum? Because that's a lower pressure system. Surely it would disperse into it, Jimmy. This makes no sense.
No.
What do you mean no? Hand wave dismissal? That's no good either, Jimmy. We need an explanation. Yeah? We would expect the lower pressure system to carry away with entropy all of the gas that we breathe in. I know we're breathing in gas pressure. Tell me what it's pressing on up there next to the vacuum.
Gets less and less.
I know. You keep saying that, and I want to know at the top where the gravity's less and the pressure is at its least before the vacuum. What's it pressing on?
It just gets less and less.
Oh, well, that doesn't explain what it's pressing on. You can't have pressure unless it's pressing.
Pressure becomes less and less.
Yes, pressure requires pressing on something, Jimmy. That's what pressure is. I know it took you a while to actually repeat what PSI was, but it requires an inch of something to press on. And we're asking what it's pressing on. You just say it's just there. Just accept it. My priest told me. We're saying it doesn't make sense, Jimmy. We want an explanation, not just an affirmation of your religious belief. So tell us how we have pressure next to a vacuum.
Because pressure gets less. Yeah. The gravitational pull gets less. And eventually you go into a vacuum state.
Oh, really? Well, that vacuum would just suck all of the pressure based on entropy.
Not if the pressure is less and the gravitational pull is less.
Sorry, if the gravitation is less, it's got less likelihood to hold on to that pressure now, hasn't it? Take your time, Jimmy.
Is that a question, sir?
No, it's a statement of fact. If you've got less force at the top and a much, much lower pressure system, i.e. a vacuum, then the gravity's affecting that less. Not more. It's not suddenly become a starship force field because it's become less. It's less likely to help. Shh, Jimmy. I know you have a problem in cognition. I know you're just used to parroting something you've read. I know you don't know how to use critical thinking skills and analyse why this is wrong. You're still defending it. It doesn't matter how many times we say it makes no sense, Jimmy. It's got to press on something to have a pressure. Whenever I say it to you, you start talking again, bullying me. Because you're mean and stupid. And all you can do is bully your opponents when you're losing. So explain to me, Jimmy, why is the pressure, pressing on things, pressure, PSI, next to a lower pressure, even vacuum-like state, when gravity's been reduced? Explain that to me. It doesn't make any sense, Jimmy.
Answer your own question.
I haven't. How do we have a pressurised system next to a vacuum? You answer it for me, Jimmy, because I definitely haven't answered that question.
Your questions.
Oh, I've answered it, have I? Oh, well, there's no need for you then, is there? What are you doing here? Go in peace, in our you trust. Radius Sanctus, Spiritus Dominus, Gravitus Amen. Go in peace, in our you trust, Jimmy.
Pressures get... See, even the pressure's getting to Eleanor.
She's
She's happy as Larry. She's watching in the night garden. Very exciting, as you can tell.
So...
Oh, he's dropped. Great. Bye-bye, Jimmy. It was lovely having you with absolutely no explanation for the pressurised system next to a vacuum other than what your priest told you that doesn't make any sense. Very handy.
Oh, God. Got such a headache now.
My bad.
No, it was good, but my God, this guy, I think he has like a vacuum chamber where a brain should be or something.
Interactions like that just, I think, solidify continually the impossibility of that system. It's an believe. Yeah.
The cognitive dissonance is too ingrained with people like him.
Oh, I need some time to recover from this.
It's like, how can they be so simple? I mean, I don't think. And Nathan, you couldn't have tried to help him out any better. To be fair,
I was extremely kind and generous.
He was trolling, and I know you were being very generous. I don't think you lose your rag with him, did you?
Probably not.
Nathan explained it so well, I'm pretty sure even Eleanor got it. Oh, look who's there.
The rumpus.
Scared are you, Nathan?
I don't see any
How scared are you?
regarding the land that you haven't produced yet, Rumpus, so we'll wait with bated breath for that thing that you were due to do about 3 months ago. Still haven't seen it, my friend. Take your time. Bit like the last guest. Take your time, mate.
Is this the molten iron core proof?
No, what it is he said he would do something specifically to what Anthony had produced. He's never done it. Namely an explanation.
And he makes new promises of new reactions to new things all the time, and doesn't do them either.
So, for normal gamers, is lol. Too scared to talk to Rumpus, Nathan Oakley 1980. Normal gamer. On the contrary, I've talked to Rumpus so much that he's told me so many lies, I'm just not interested in talking to him until he at least comes through on that very specific detail we have him on. So he was supposed to account for the observation with Anthony lying on his belly at the beach of the north end of the Isle of Man. He said he'd do it. In fact, initially he said he'd already done it. He'd pre-recorded it and Anthony was withholding a piece of information. He said that he could release the information because he'd already pre-recorded it. It transpired that was a lie, and from that day to this, he's not done anything about it. He's a liar. That's why he's not here. Not because I'm scared of him. You've got to be joking.
We have Delend in the chat. He says this is a Channel 4 echo chamber where weak gimps take pot shots from the undergrowth. Speaking of weak gimps, hello Del, nice to see you. Thanks for pointing out that we're the weak gimps when you've just basically showed yourself up, mate. Nice one.
Del who?
Del, Bellend,
Del
Shed
End.
Rage,
I can't see anybody by that name in there.
Shed Rage. Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
What?
Oh.
Really?
Beyond the Imaginary Curve account. Is it actually him?
It is, yeah.
Where?
Oh, right. Thanks for joining us, valued viewer.
Oh my god, it is him.
It is him. And the thing is, he ran away when I went to Scotland and I messaged him and asked him to come and do an experiment. He ran away, he didn't show up. Puss.
Oh, was. Post it now. I didn't see it, mate. Just post it again, my friend.
Oh yeah, by the way, Del, in response to your mentioning me on your show the other day, yeah, I don't come to your show because I think I'm too smart for you. I don't come to your show because I find it a bit boring. That's all.
But you come here, don't you, Del? Thanks for joining.
Where do you think he gets his material from? He doesn't have any
Yeah.
material. He needs to come to other channels to learn his stuff. All he talks about is curve over water. That's it. And he did an experiment.
Hey,
one time.
let's have
It's the
no
very
fighting
first
in the
video.
trenches. There's no globe heads here. Look, if Del wants to reduce himself to knocking us for whatever reason, like I say, I'm just pleased he's here watching us. So thank you very much for tuning in, Del. But yeah, let's not berate him. Do what you like, Del. Good for you. Good on you. Whatever you're doing in Flat Earth, I have no idea, but good for you.
Yeah, you need some more
do
steroids
appreciate-
as well.
I do want to give credit where credit is due. I do kind of like his street interviews. I think that's very cool that he did that.
Yeah, take some more steroids.
No need. Look, let's just not add ham on the guy. If he's doing it to you, just ignore him. No problem. Wish him well. Good for you, Del. Keep up the good work.
Bought any more subs recently, Del?
No need. I'm sure you don't have any evidence of that.
No.
Right. No need.
Indeed.
No need. Ranty CGI baiting. I love it. He's on the panel. He's not said a word, but he's in the chat baiting Del. Come on the panel if you're a real man beyond the imaginary curve. He looks about 6'2". He's Scottish. I have no doubt he'd probably beat the living crap out of me in a fight. He's definitely a man. CGI Ranty. So yeah.
I wouldn't be too sure.
No, he is.
Was he not supposed to be having a fight one time with another flat earther, Antonio?
Oh, God, do we have to? Well done, Del. You've got a full-on advert out of us now. I'm going to say it's official. You better thank me for this advert.
Yeah, and we got one
Subscribe now.
spot
I might
here,
as well
so-
plug him fully. Beyond the Imaginary Curve. Go and watch him. I don't, but you can.
Spends most of his time rolling the fag.
This is a dismal, dismal conversation. You know that.
Yes, let's move on.
Let's
Right.
Yeah.
move on.
Keep personalities out of it.
Right. Who cares?
But I'm just a bit butthurt that his mod trolls in there sort of like block any flat earthers from going in that have another channel. Like everybody that's on this panel, everybody that's in a different chat format, he blocks them all.
Yeah, he did with me very
He blocks
early on.
everybody.
Yeah, I
Let,
think,
let's move
He
on.
talks about
Exactly.
echo chambers.
I mean,
Yeah.
we
He's
assert
a
the
one-man
house.
echo chamber.
We do the housekeeping for a reason, which is to say that, you know, I think all of us, if we were to have any of the things on that list demonstrated, we'd be pretty shocked. They're not going to be, and that's why we ask for them. And when someone like Jimmy comes on and says, "Yeah, of course we've got of course we've got space. You know, I believe in planets and I believe in the sun." It's like, yeah, I can see those things, but the medium that they reside in is a vacuum. So how do you explain that? And they go, gravity. You go, yeah, but that doesn't explain how you've got pressure next to a vacuum. And they go, gravity. You go, no, we've already demolished that. Even if we say gravity is there, and they go, well, gravity's less up there, that means it's right. And you go, that makes no sense. And so it goes on until you've said it 50 times and you're blue in the face, and they still say, well, Wiki says it's so. There is smarter people out there than you. You have a belief. And you're like, what? Are you kidding? We've just demolished your argument for the last 20 minutes. But that's what we get. So yeah, my point being that housekeeping is important. You know, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Anthony that was like, we've got to keep a track of this stuff. You know, we've demolished a lot of arguments. The self-perpetuating molten iron core was something that Paul Voigt asserted, and then Anthony absolutely pummeled him on it, and he hasn't been back since. Why? Because there's no evidence.
Come back either.
Say again?
And he won't come back either. In fact, have you noticed all the housekeeping stuff that we talk about? There isn't any of the troll accounts like Red's Rhetoric, etc., putting videos out or talking about them particular points because they can't.
Well, yeah, that's a bloody good point, Ranty. So, any ballers who are watching this that would consider themselves popular, so you're talking Slice Barcane, Red's Rhetoric, anybody who's got a reasonable number of subscribers, yeah, we do housekeeping almost daily. Some days we don't do it, we don't get around to it, but most shows we do housekeeping, which is to say that we want to know what the evidence is for the things we list. And today we happen to have covered pressurized system next to a vacuum, and it debunks the medium of space. So for Red's Rhetoric especially, who thinks that you've got rockets going into this medium, you need to actually demonstrate that you can have a pressurized system next to a vacuum. We want to know the hows, whys and wherefores. And if you start saying gravity, no problem. We can get into Cavendish, we can get into Einstein, we can get into all these things that you think create a force field around something that requires something pressing on something else. Pressure. So, Red's Rhetoric, whoever, you need to start responding to our housekeeping. You know, we're not doing it for the fun of it. And you're getting people like this Jimmy guy, who's basically idiot. You know, he's not smart. Red's Rhetoric, I would assume, would think he was more smart than Jimmy. So where's his response? Why is it that it's being left to people like Jimmy to respond when you've got people like Red's Rhetoric? Where's his response? Where's the pressurized system next to a vacuum from the people who are the priests of heliocentricity? Why aren't they addressing this? Where's their response video? Why aren't they showing us curvature? Rumpus is getting kicked out because he's supposed to have accounted, even being allowed to beg the question. We've said, Rumpus, go away, we'll let you beg the question, we'll let you assume R, model this, and he hasn't. So, you know, chances are that's out the window now as far as I'm going to say it now. I won't let Rumpus beg the question ever again. You know, he's got to prove R if he's going to use it in his mathematics. It's as simple as that. So, if he comes in, that'll be my first question. Anything that you account for, I want to know the mathematics. If it's got a presumed radius in it, prove it. Simple. So all of these things that we bring up, R being one of them, they need addressing. For all the globe heads out there that think they live on a sphere, why haven't they been addressed? We didn't do housekeeping on this show. We just carried on with pressurized system. Travis started off with that. Total silence.
Yeah, and we still have one more space for anyone who wants to join, by the way.
So yeah, I would like to see signs of axial rotation, curvature, pressurized system next to a vacuum, molten iron core that can self-perpetuate, all these things that we list, gravity. I want to see a justifiable explanation for them, not pseudoscience and philosophy.
Sad time for the ballers.
It is. It's a very somber moment.
Why do you think they don't come in anymore?
Could be housekeeping. Every single start of the show, if we're covering these subjects, they know that there's a very good chance that when they come in, we'll ask for one of them. And it'll go the way it went with Jimmy. Because they've got the same explanations he has.
Our house is too clean. We
You
do
won't accept my
we do
metaphysics.
housekeeping every day. Our house is too clean, so they can't come in and chew on the dirt.
Yep, there's no litter for the rats. Go on, Travis.
Exactly.
I was just going to say, they'll just say, you won't accept our metaphysics. We can give you the metaphysics, you just won't accept it.
Yeah, accept our pseudoscience. And prior to that, it would be accept our pictures you can't replicate. That's never going to come up on this show. We're never going to be doing NASA debunkings on this show, I don't think, because of this argument today. It's like the whole medium of space is debunkable. And from that point on, anything that you present that's come from that medium is fallacious. You need to prove that there is actually that medium there. We know that we've got a pressurized system. That bit is certain. We know that. That's experienceable. The vacuum bit, no one's ever experienced it. Oh, right. Oh, a few Freemasons go out into what they presuppose is there and tell you it's there, do they? Oh, right. Well, that's really handy. That's proof.
It's magic.
Gem Panda says, watch Faking Flat 4. No, Gem. You know, someone mentioned that it was about Isle of Man and tired old arguments. You know, all of those arguments, Gem, they had a big problem. You had a perspective omitting calculator that doesn't perform viewing functionality, and I called you out for your omission of perspective. You haven't addressed it. You haven't come on. You haven't conceded. So let's point out what we were challenging you for a couple of weeks ago and you seem to have moved on from. What about perspective? Yeah? Gem? Hello? Your calculator that you rely on doesn't perform viewing functionality. It accounts only for absolute sizes of things, which isn't how we view things. It's not how our camera takes pictures. It's not including perspective. You complete idiot. So rehashing some old crap argument that you had probably about Google Earth being wrong doesn't interest me anymore, Gem. You're boring. Get some new material. Maybe prove R, or maybe prove a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed Earth based on that presupposition of R. Or maybe prove gravity, also based on a begging the question fallacy. Maybe prove some of those things. Or send your trolls in. Sniper sword before the end of the show. So, Gem, you're pathetic. You've got no arguments. If you did, you'd be here. You'd be on the panel right now. There's a gap saying, I've got proof of a self-perpetuating molten iron core. I've got proof of gravity. I've got proof of R. I've got proof of all the things you have on your housekeeping list. Where are they? You're just a chat warrior telling me about your crap videos no one watches. Actually get your ass on here and challenge me. That's what you can do, Gem, rather than making it in your little circle jerk. Your circle jerk video, yeah? Not a verbal discord between you and I. Circle jerk. Yeah, all these circle jerking assholes like Gem Panda, they haven't got the balls to actually come in and present anything that challenges what we do in housekeeping. Keeping those rats away. Because they've got nothing. All they've got is the little scraps of rattiness that they keep in their little hovels over at Gem Panda's channel where no one watches. Where people could actually hear your challenge to what we say here, Gem. You could do that here and now. There's 200 plus people watching. Probably the extent of most of your videos' total views. So come on here and talk to 200 people live. Tell them why I'm wrong. Tell them why your fantasy ball religion... Hello... Oh, Johnson's just another troll. Someone kicked Johnson out of the back chat. I didn't catch him in time.
Don't see him.
Yeah, you've got a couple of hundred people at your disposal, Gem. Tell us where we're wrong. Crickets. Yeah, I'll look forward to your next video that I don't watch, Gem. I was specifically asking for video responses. I've got a public show with a link published right now. I've gone to great extents to stop arseholes coming in and allowing people like you to actually come and state your views on the shape of the Earth. I've said it over 300 times. So if you want to come and state your views, I've got a twice daily show, Gem. I don't need to go to your video response that no one watches because I've got an audience. Hello, how you doing, new guest? The Way, how you doing? Hello? Hello, new guest. Can you take
Please
yourself off
unmute.
mute?
Sorry.
There you go. Good to have you. Or is it The Way?
Yeah, sorry. I've got a couple of YouTube channels, but nothing to do with what we're talking about. I've got a couple of questions for you, but I don't want to butt in. I'll wait till you're finished.
No, please ask.
Right. So I'm really interested in the whole debate, and it's all about the stuff we can see that we can't see that really interests me. I'm not about the bigger picture models and the space and all that. But here's just two questions, and I just wondered if you could sort of help me out. So I've been to beaches and stuff, and I'm not with a super zoom camera as such, but a decent-ish camera, and yeah, you can zoom in on ships and things. I've seen it for myself. I've done the sort of basic calculations and what have you, and yeah, you can definitely see. I've definitely seen things that I shouldn't be able to see. So I think I missed this conversation of this. So my first question is: sometimes the bottom of the boat does appear behind. I don't know if it's a horizon or whatever. What do you think that is? Because I know that doesn't happen every time.
Right. So, Nathan, can I answer that one?
Yeah, Aries diffraction in 2 words, but go ahead, Darwin.
Yeah. All right. So, the effect that you described, the bottom disappearing, is a general effect that is caused by perspective itself. It's a narrowing down of the field of view, which causes things in the foreground to obstruct things further in the background. And it is indeed caused by diffraction. But what it basically is your field of view within perspective. As you see things closer to you are more at an angle downwards, roughly. And then the further away you go, they start to become less angled and more straight. And eventually, if you go far away enough, and especially if the observer height is low enough to the surface that you are looking over, then yeah, it will become so straight that basically very tiny things in the foreground will start to obstruct relatively big things in the background. So basically, a wave that could be like a couple of inches high, if you're almost looking directly over the water, can obscure the bottom of a boat, which could be like a meter high, that is much, much further away. So it is an inherent part of perspective caused by Aries diffraction, and I originally named it the optical slant effect because it seems like it's slanting, but it keeps on going in a straight line. So it's not a curve obscuring things, because if it were a curve, then things behind that point would start to fall behind that curve exponentially, and they don't. They might
Yeah.
they might be linearly obscured a little bit more bottom up the further away you go, but it doesn't fall exponentially behind that obstruction.
Right.
So it's a
See,
part of perspective.
for me, sort of from the outside looking in, this is a frustrating thing because people who just go and look for the first time or whatever, and they get that image, it's like, well, that's curved straight away, and they don't look into it any further. But if you do, I mean, I don't know what percentages I'm making this up, but probably 60%, maybe higher, of the pictures I see, they don't have that, and you can, the ship or whatever it is a long distance away.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right, second question. I don't want to take too much of your time. So I'm from sunny Bradford in the UK, but right now I'm staying in Canada for 6 months. And as I was flying over from Dublin in Ireland, I flew to Toronto. Now, obviously, you get your little TV screen on your seat, and it's showing you the flight path. And I'd not even looked at it, to be honest, until we flew over Iceland. And I had no idea the plane was going to fly over Iceland, because to me, obviously, that's kind of out the way, as it were. So when I got here and I looked at it, and now I'm not, please don't pick me up on the flat Earth map. I know there's no such thing, but looking at that kind of map, and you look at the distance, or what you think a straight line would be, it's nowhere near Iceland.
Yep.
So I looked into it a little bit to see. Obviously, there must be a scientific reason for it, whatever. And I can't remember what it's called. It's something like a circle path or something. And they're trying to say because it's a globe, it's flying the shortest distance. That's what it was. But again, I mean, if you look at not the Earth curve, if you look at the curve of the flight path on a smaller screen, I would have thought, and I'm no expert, but I would have thought you would have felt the plane sort of almost not constantly turning, but it has to. I would have thought it'd have to turn to the left to get where it's going. But obviously, as far as I'm aware, on a plane, it's
Very good point.
Yeah, so I just wondered what you thought about that, because obviously I've even got pictures of you on the plane of Iceland, and it's not just like I could see it; we were over it. Now,
I'm
don't get me
presenting
wrong.
the map now, by the way. So to give a visual example of what you're saying,
Right.
Iceland is, according to the rectangular perspective of the Google Earth maps, is well even beyond 45 degrees towards the north, and
Yeah.
Toronto is pretty much on the same latitude,
Yeah.
according to this map. And yeah, that seems very, very off. Now, it's a good point what you were saying. Yeah, if you were actually flying over there for a reason, like for example, okay, maybe it is following land routes for in case of emergency, that kind of thing.
Can I just interrupt you out
It
very
would
quickly,
turn.
Owen? Yeah, I looked at all this. I thought I'll play devil's advocate, and I'll go down the debunking stage. And there is no, apparently, this is what I read, obviously Google, but there is nothing on it for an aircraft that everyone thinks that it flies over land in case of emergencies, but apparently that's rubbish. That's what sort of the Google tells you. It's because of it's the shortest distance. Now, again, that makes sense. If you believe in the globe or whatever, that makes perfect sense. You can do it with a piece of string and it's a shorter distance. But my question is, I would have almost, 90% believed you would have felt that aircraft correcting itself.
Yeah. Well, either it would make a relative sharp turn as it reaches Iceland, or you would have to slowly, really slowly turn, and you would notice, because you would notice that the whole plane would be turned slightly.
Yeah.
It would be noticeable, definitely.
Yeah. And again, not to go back to any imaginary maps, but if we do imagine the world to be a particular shape, that's a straight line, basically.
Oh, by the way, another question.
Yep.
Did you, beyond Iceland, did you also get to see Greenland, a part of Greenland to your right hand on the plane? Because that is pretty much in a straight line. If you're looking at the map here, that's almost exactly between Toronto and Iceland. You would probably be able to see it.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I don't know. I don't know, because I wasn't at the window seat. So the person who I was sat with, who had the window seat, nudged me as she could see. What she said was, it was definitely Greenland. But I must admit, obviously, it's just it's like sort of mountains and pure Iceland. So you can't really make a lot out. So whether I got past that and I seen something else, but we did fly over it for quite a long time.
Over Greenland, even.
Definitely, it was definitely Greenland. That was 100%, because that's what the flight path screen in front of the seat in front of me was showing.
Wow! So not past it, you flew over it.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the. It's hard to explain.
No.
Looking, as I say, I've got a couple of pictures of it where you can see the aircraft wing and then the land. It wasn't as if we were looking out the plane window away to the horizon to see land. We were actually flying over it. The land was below us. That you could tell that.
That is very odd, because and you're making a very long path around.
Well, listen, and then sorry, just I'm talking too much, but I then sort of tried to go. I mean, I'm no expert in this, but I started to look at flight paths and what standard aircraft flight paths are. And what I couldn't understand is the flight path we took I didn't see on many I only use Google, but I couldn't see that flight path anywhere. The flight path maps that they show you, they all curve, but at the sharpest point of the curve, it was still nowhere near Greenland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I just thought I'd stick that out there and see what you boys can come up with because I find it really interesting.
That is very fascinating.
Yeah. And as I say, I've told people and everything. Well, that's odd, but I've got a couple of pictures on my phone that that prove that. So
The Mercator map gets Greenland very wrong, though, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, I don't know about the maps itself because obviously we don't know what it is, but.
Well, I've been checking out. Sorry to interrupt. I've been checking out these maps, looking over them, and especially the scales. And there seem to be very strange scale inconsistencies. You can't see it really good if I'm presenting it now, but it's not all purely longitude based, like the north-south height. It's very weird how it seems like all the continents are basically not the right sizes, literal sizes, but which can be explained, of course. Yeah, it's being unfolded from a globe, but also, yeah, they are not scaled perfectly in accordance to their longitude.
No, well, they're not,
That
though,
is
are
very
they?
strange.
Because if you just type in, Owen, I'll just take you off screen while you do it. Just type in Gall Peters projection.
All
I
right,
think it's GALL Peters.
I'll try to find it.
And the Gall Peters is a more land mass accurate map than the Mercator projection, which is absolutely distorted. You're right.
Oh, right, yeah, the more accurate map.
Yeah, do you want to just bring it up just so I can show the audience what I'm talking about? So this is
Yeah, I'm presenting it still.
right, there you
Okay.
go. This is the Gall Peters. Can you make that bigger?
It's difficult.
All right, I'll try
Maybe.
and I'll make it just a bit bigger.
Hold on.
Hopefully that's a bit bigger.
Right. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. It would still be a little curvy, but yeah, less curvy. So,
Yeah, but it's still a hell of a curve.
yeah, it's
Because
not
Toronto
it's not
way
like a
down.
pyramid anymore, but it's still a pretty big curve to go there like that.
Toronto's obviously only an hour away from the US border, so it's way down. Interesting. Right, I'm going to get off. Thanks for having me, and I'll carry on listening on the YouTube. Thanks again.
Thanks. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
That was good.
Audio. Got about 5, maybe 10 minutes left. Lots pressing at the moment.
I'd actually kind of hoped that he would present his pictures. I was really curious.
He was on a mobile anyway, so he wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
I've just spent the last 15 minutes in the chat. I think Dell's just taken his steroids.
Oh dear.
He's pretty aggressive at the minute.
What's his problem?
His problem's this show. He thinks you're establishment, apparently.
Establishment?
Yeah, he's calling you establishment.
What does I know what establishment means. What do you think he means by establishment?
Well, he says that you've been promised a position.
Promised a position?
Your lordship.
Yes, I know. It's all
Your lordship Oakley.
It's all stirring the drama.
Been promised a position. Oh, right.
Yeah, he's not said in what or anything, but he's clearly just had his injections.
Promised a
Probably
position.
gritting his
I don't
teeth
think
and
he
foaming.
takes steroids, but he is getting a little silly.
Maybe he knows something I don't.
He's definitely foaming at the mouth. I can tell it in his words.
Fair enough.
So anyway, are you going to tell everybody what
I don't really know what to say to that. I've not been promised any position other than the position I've created for myself on YouTube. It's taken a lot of hard work.
Explain your dad. Apparently, this is what he says. Apparently, you need to explain your dad to Dell. Well, I don't think you do, but
what about him?
He says.
What about him?
I have no idea. I mean, this is what he says.
Robin Oakley is not my dad, Mong.
What?
Is that the BBC reporter?
It is, yeah.
Right, okay. So they think that you're Robin Oakley's son.
I see. Wow.
Linked to the BBC.
Fascinating. Right, wrong. You can
We'll
see my
probably
dad.
make
I've
you
got a
get your
video
birth
about him
certificate
actually.
out.
So about, I don't know, it's probably 10 or 15 years ago now, where my folks lived up in Shropshire. They had a drought, so they literally ran out of water, and they got on the news because Severn Trent went round with a great big lorry full of water for them to fill up jerry cans and such like, and they were on Midlands Today. So, you know, my dad's been on the news. I've got that video on one of my channels, so it's not like it's difficult to find what my dad looks like. And yeah, it's not Robin Oakley.
There we go. Here we go. Google him, look at him. It's a fat Nathan. Now, I just want to point out that if anybody spoke like that towards Dell in his hangout, they would be instantly banned, right? But he's been in the chat effing and jeffing for the last half an hour, right? Because he knows he can get away with it here. But talk about double standards, because he doesn't allow this to go on in his hangout.
He blocks people for less.
Indeed. If you're going to talk like this here, I suggest that you allow it to be spoken to like this on your debates, on your channel. Don't be a two-faced coward.
Even though my last name is Gonzalez, I'm not related to Nathan Gonzalez. And Arwin is not related to Django, which one letter is silent. Thank you.
Are you related to Speedy?
No, not related to Speedy either. Ándale,
But
ándale.
I've seen him on TV. He's like a fat version of you.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm telling you. Arwin, the J is silent. So Django, the D is silent. You guys are not related. Thank you.
No. And in Dutch, it's not silent. It's the IJ is a different syllable, basically.
It seems that Dell's mad, basically. He's obviously heard something about you, Nathan, and this he's got it mixed up thinking that you're related to this Robin Oakley. So he's come into the chat, calling you establishment, calling me a sellout, and he's totally wrong on his original assertion anyway. What a knobhead.
Fair enough. Yeah. You know, if you think I'm establishment because there's another guy with the same surname as me, I'm also not related to the sunglasses manufacturer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm not related to the owner of the clothes line that is here in the Netherlands either. But
What's
yeah,
it called? Arwin?
No, never mind. Anyway, the trolls brought it up earlier.
And I'm
People
not
ask me
related to
sometimes.
Captain Cook.
But yeah, this is. I think Dell maybe is falling back into old behaviors, like trying to pick fights to get attention or something. It's the old
Yeah, he's
flat
probably.
Earth
I think he's.
social.
Well, he's been losing. He's been losing subs, hasn't he? So it's he's probably thinking he needs to drum up some drama to bring a few more people back to his channel. That's what he's after.
Yeah, or he maybe needs to just learn how to start actually doing debates with other people.
Well, I've got no issue with Dell because I don't watch him or care. So, more power to you, whatever you're doing, Dell. Talk about me more.
Yeah, I like his streets interviews, so they were pretty cool.
Yeah, but he only does it part-time, doesn't he? He's a part-time flat earther. He's not like Nathan. Nathan does this every single day. And I say that he's a part-timer because he is. Because he doesn't... What does he do? 2 hangouts a week? The odd observation here and there? That's it. Part-time. You're part-time, bud.
Come on, you can't blame somebody for actually having a job. And that
the way
kind of
back, just so you know, just email me at nathanoakley1980@aol.com. Just email me. The screen name of this channel, but with @aol.com at the end. Yeah, if you can get them to me next time you join, I'll bring them up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just. I think I get a little triggered when someone like that comes in who thinks they can throw the weight around in chat and make spurious claims. I mean, you forget when I started coming into these debates, I mean, you were only getting, 60 or 70 viewers. Now you're getting 230. So the channel's tripled in 6 months, and Dell's has stagnated. So he's obviously envious of this, and I feel protective of the show because I feel we do a very good show. We put a lot of effort into this. The show doesn't end here. We carry on the show afterwards. We talk about it in the mornings. We'll talk about it in the evenings. A lot of work goes into this.
Hey,
So I'm not having somebody come in here and try and take a pot and me not respond to that.
You can address him now, Ant. He's here. Hold on. How you doing, Del? Good to have you.
hey, welcome.
Yeah,
Right,
Rage.
Listen, I put a comment in the comment box about Channel 4. The wee baldy arse here picked that comment up as that it was an attack on him and just started running his mouth. He's just a silly wee baldy prick.
So are you.
So, no, you misread the comment. I suggest you go back and look at the comment box. You just opened your gums and started bumping them like a total clown. Right? You're just a silly wee guy.
This isn't the first time that I've heard you talking like this.
You're just a silly wee boy.
You've
not got any intellect, you've no intelligence, you've no ability to speak to me at all. You're just a total.
I wouldn't want to speak to you. I cannot. You don't even speak English.
Nathan Oakley, who is obviously just mimicked me, seen that it was working and tries to mimic Rio. He's fucking pathetic at it.
Oh, mimic you?
Aye.
You think this show is related to yours in somehow?
Del, do you have a debating show? Because
you have a debating
people.
Ajwin, you're not intellectual enough to speak about nonsense. I'm Ajwin and I want to talk about fantasy stuffs and make out that I'm an intellect. You're not really. You're just a dafty.
Well, no, you talk about Del is water. Let's be honest.
How can you debate objective reality? Answer that question. How can objective reality be a debate?
Objective reality be debate? Well, possibilities.
What possibilities are when there only is one reality, son? How do you debate a reality?
Yeah, but until you actually know it, then you can still talk about the possibilities of what you do not know.
What are you talking about? That's just fucking gobbledygook. Possibilities of what you don't know. So
Not swearing.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't understand what I just said, but
fantasy.
It's just
fantasy.
Speculating. Yeah, it's speculation. Yeah, it's theorizing. It is laying a groundwork of what you can be expecting once you find out. And I find that stuff very interesting.
You're just fucking taking people's.
I'm sorry that you don't find it interesting. I do.
There's no debate. There only is one reality. It's not a debate. There's no dichotomy. Okay.
Well, I like to speculate about what I don't know yet.
I like to talk rubbish and waste people's time. Making it a debate. It's not a debate.
Well, my wasting of time has led me to get 705 subscribers.
What the hell is your debate?
There is no debate.
Right? There making a cigarette half the time.
There is no debate.
You spend half the time making a cigarette. When you're not doing that, you're going for a piss.
There is no debate, son.
Yeah.
Stop calling it a debate, right?
You don't have anybody on. If they disagree with you, I watched you when Brenda Van Ossen called in.
Brenda Van Ossen called in.
10 minutes and you kicked her off. You call that a debate. That's not. You like listening to your own voice, mate.
That's right, aye.
Yeah, that's all you do. You talk to yourself. You even refer to you as the third person when you're in your own conversation.
I'm going to continue to be a pain in the arse until you clowns get the fucking message. Okay, sir?
Nobody really cares what you think. Nobody gives a shit, mate.
Yeah, and
Hey,
Nathan is not basing the show on you, Del. That's totally silly. We actually have a panel with 10 people here. You're a one-man show. Okay.
A little bit.
No, you didn't get kicked.
He ran off.
He's welcome. He's just swearing too much. I mean, I didn't kick him. Nobody kicked him. He just jumped out. But still, he cannot just come in and be swearing left and right like he does in his show.
Well, asking Del not to swear is kind of unfair.
Hold on. How you doing, P?
I'm good. I think Del made some good points there.
Thanks,
like
P.
what?
Which points do you think he made well?
I didn't snipe anybody, by the way. Just confirming that.
Go ahead,
I mean, you can't debate objective reality, right?
Why not?
There is no dichotomy, and
why not?
You guys are giving too much credit to the ball earthers by even letting them talk.
Yeah, but that's the only way we're going to get anywhere. We're going to basically route out the inconsistencies and the logical fallacies and the presuppositions, get through the entire psychology of it. That's also a focus that we actually do on this show, it works. And this way we expose the baller mindset. That's one of the focuses of this show. And yeah, if you don't want to do that, it's going to be a one-man show, or basically a circle jerk of people just are saying, "Oh yeah, you're so right," and that's it. That gets kind of old. People want to hear people that disagree try to duke it out.
Well, yeah,
try to work it out.
I've got no love lost with Del, and if to tell you the truth, people are saying in the chat that he was talking about Channel 4. If that's the case, so be it. But it still stays that everybody that's in this panel now, probably except for PMARS, is banned in his chats by him, blocked for no reason.
Yeah.
For absolutely no reason, other than that we have another debate platform.
Yeah, I'm banned there, and I'm banned in many places. I think it's just you don't want to hear another opinion. You just want to hear people that say that have the same opinions as you because it's more comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's
safe space.
Yeah, I like people. We should have our safe spaces.
Yeah, but you can't come in and preach on his channel and then come in here and be effing and jeffing, and then call me this, that, and the other, and try and stir stuff up with Nathan, and which are lies, by the way. You can't come in and just act like this.
You can. That's what
he can.
Exactly what he just did. But all are welcome. He's welcome to come.
Yeah, but I'm saying the two-facedness of it. The hypocrisy. That's what I'm pointing out.
Indeed. Well, it was a fun show.
Yeah. You're welcome anytime, Del. Come in. I will finish this conversation.
Valued viewer. Absolutely correct.
Well, I think he probably did bring in a couple of viewers.
Higher than normal. What is it, 230 people? That's about 30 more than normal. So if that was Del, much appreciated. I think with that, I'll probably say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, I'm sure you know what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!